turn it up. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of the Hoops All In podcast. If you guys are new, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Don't forget to subscribe to our personal YouTube channels at Keith HAI. Keith does great work over there for Hoops All In and World CV, even though I do little to no basketball content, but show us some love over there. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this video out to everybody. So, Bleacher Report did their top 100 NBA players of all time in their list. And so we decided to come up with our own list. Instead of doing top 100, we're going to do our top 25 NBA players of all time. So, me and Keith did our list. We might have some disagreements in there. But, guys, let's get right into it. So, Keith, you want to go first?
Yeah. All right. So, basically, what I did, I'm pretty sure what most big publications do is they have a bunch of their writers send in the articles and they take the average of each, where each person put the player, and then that's how they come up with like the Bleacher Report articles. At least I believe that's what I've heard. Maybe they use some other system now, but that is what we did. So I'm going to share. I'm going to start from the bottom up. I'm going to say what their average rank was. There are a couple players at the bottom that like either I put and Werls didn't put, or Werls put and I didn't put. And then I will say what each of us ranked them at in our own personal list as well. So let's get right into it. Number 25.
All right.
Who is again a player that I put on my list and Werls did not put on my list, is Scottie Pippen. So Scottie Pippen is a player that I really like. I don't understand the hate behind it. He gets a lot of hate. Plays 17 years. His counting stats aren't amazing at 16, 6 and 5. But he's a 7-time All-Star. He's a 1-time steals champ, All NBA. Again, of course, 6-time champ and 10-time All Defense. Of course, in the Hall of Fame. And one of the best Batmans, or one of the best Robins to a Batman that you can have.
All right. You want me to go now?
Sorry. That was I had him personally ranked at 21. Again, Werls did not have him in there, but that is our collective. This is our collective list that I'm sharing out.
Oh, okay.
And I will say, again, where you put it, but you're right. I put Pippen at 21 on my list. Werls did not have him, so that's why he's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Number 24 is the player that Werls had, I did not have, and it is Kevin McHale. Now, Werls had Kevin McHale as number 13. So I'm very interested to hear what made you put Kevin McHale so high. I don't want to spoil some lists, but you put him over some guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was hard. And we'll get into it right as we get up further in the list. But yeah, you talk about Kevin McHale, like a lot of people call him the greatest low post scorer ever, and not growing up in the 80s, or we weren't born in the 80s, seeing some of the Celtics games and seeing some of his highlights. That dude could still score in today's NBA because he had that turnaround hook shot, that turnaround J. Anywhere from 15 feet in, he was unstoppable. So that's why I had him up high. It was a very, very tough list. You had some great players who were going to be left out, unfortunately, because there's only 25 names. Now, if we expand it's like 50, obviously, you got guys like Pippen and stuff will be in there because you can't leave out a 6-time NBA champion. But that's one of the reasons why I had Kevin McHale so high. We'll get into it further as why we have some different names of lists of, and what criteria is what criteria were made them list, and what criteria that they were just lacking that didn't make the list. So yeah.
But yeah, before we get too far, I actually forgot to do this, but we have a couple honorable mentions who did not make the list, and they were very close cuts. I know, Werls, you said the two biggest for you was Charles Barkley and Moses Malone.
Yep.
They were two of my right off the list as well. I also had some guys like Iverson, Carmelo, Harden. Those were really it. Again, Moses Malone and Barkley were the first two off. So they are the biggest cuts, I would say. But yeah, just want to get that in.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Number 23 on the Hoops All In top 25 from now on, these are all players that we both put. So I will give the ranking of where we both put them. But number 23 is David Robinson. We actually both had him at 24, but
Mm,
got into 23 because of the two below him. So, but yeah, I really think David Robinson, like, there's a lot of centers because the center position is so stacked all the time that I really think it's disrespected and left out of top conversations. Granted, he's not the best of all time in his position for sure, but David Robinson was that guy, man. And I'm a big fan of David Robinson. So,
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. He's a two-time champion. He's a regular season MVP, Defensive Player of the Year award. He's a 10-time All-Star. The man averaged like almost a double, well, not almost. He averaged a double-double, 21 points and almost 11 rebounds. And you see this guy got muscles popping out of everywhere. He was one of the most NBA strongest dudes. So yeah, definitely got to give D-Rob some love over there.
yep. Number 22. Um, we actually had in the same spot as well is Jerry West. We both actually had him at number 22 in our list. So
Mm,
he slides in perfectly there. I mean, he's the logo. Only got one ring. Obviously, the Finals MVP when he was on the losing team. 14-time All Star, one-time scoring champ, five-time All Defensive. Part of the NBA 75th anniversary team, 12 All NBAs, assist champ. He's got a lot, but he wasn't able to win as much because he was in a Celtics dominated period of the NBA.
yeah, when him and Bill Russell were winning like 11 straight rings or something like that, it was crazy.
Yep. Number 21 is a player that we're talking about basketball here. And when you talk about basketball, you can't leave him off. It is Karl Malone.
Mm,
Definitely one of the best power forwards of all time. I had him at 17, and Werls had him at number 25
yep.
for his list. 14-time All Star, 14-time All NBA, two-time league MVP, four-time All Defensive. Obviously, no rings, but got as close as you can in that time zone. Um, Unless you were the Rockets, of course, but without getting it.
Yeah, I mean, plus they had to go up against Michael Jordan a handful of times. There was during
Correct.
the Jordan times when they had two different three-peats. So if
Mhm.
Jordan had retired for one more year, Malone and Stockton would both be NBA champions right now. So they just
Yep.
ran into a juggernaut.
Yep. Um, at number, so we actually have a tie for the next position. And those player, which would be number 20, is Kevin Garnett and Julius Irving. Worlds had Garnett at number 23. I had him at number 18. Worlds had Julius Irving at 18, and I had him at 23. So pretty much
You flip.
we actually just flipped positions for that.
Yeah.
So we their average score was where is it, 20 and a half. So very close again, of course, but Julius Irving's a hard player to rank because a lot of his damage was done in the ABA and not the NBA.
Mhm.
Which a lot of NBA players were playing in the ABA at the time. But he's a 16-time All-Star, four-time MVP. Only one time was in the NBA, but 1983 NBA champion with the Philadelphia 76ers. And then, well, do you have anything to say about Dr. J before I go to Garnett?
Oh no, I mean Dr. J, like he's most mainly known for the layup, reverse layup where he had the ball out of bounds and then did a reverse. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's kind of hard to rank Julius Irving because we didn't really see him play.
Mhm.
Back then we weren't alive. But just looking at his stats, his accomplishments, you mentioned NBA champion, he's a two-time NBA champion, so he won in two different leagues. Four-time MVP, one in the NBA and three times in the ABA. 16 all-star appearances, seven all-NBA, seven-time all-NBA, five-time all-ABA. So he dominated both eras. If we had got to see him more and there were more available ABA highlights, he probably would have been up higher in the list. But yeah,
Hmm.
you look at his, like I said, almost 24.2 points per game, almost 9 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and shot really efficiently almost 51% from the field.
Yeah. Um, and then Kevin Garnett. I mean, one of the best energy guys you could have, one of the best trash talkers in the league, one of the best power forwards of all time. 15-time All Star, one-time champ, four-time rebound champion, nine-time All NBA, 12-time All Defensive, one-time MVP, one-time Defensive Player of the Year. Like he filled it up, man. He's got a lot of one-time things in there, but Garnett was really he had to thug it out in those Minnesota years early on, even at the end when he went back after Boston and Brooklyn. But they Garnett really one of the best defenders of all time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. People thought Garnett was crazy because he had that Jordan S mentality because you hear a lot of stories like he'll just start saying stuff to him like, oh, somebody called him out or was talking trash, and it's like that's not true. Like Paul Pierce on his podcast that I don't know if like Dirk Nowitzki or Yao Ming or something, some foreign European player called him Edward. And then Paul Pierce was like, KG, that's not true. I was standing right there. And he literally just said it just to hype himself up, just to get himself going. So he's a legit psycho on the court.
Did you have you ever heard of him and Carmelo when he trash on Carmelo?
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
Carmelo
Okay.
talked about in his podcast with Iman Shumpert. Yeah,
All right.
that
Yeah.
was
That's
hilarious.
that's a story that forever is
Oh
like
yeah.
ingrained in my head. Um, Number 18 is we got our first current player, and it is Giannis. We actually both had Giannis at number 19. So again, pretty in sync as of right now. Giannis obviously is a one-time champ, nine-time All-Star and All NBA, five-time All Defensive, Most Improved, two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, in-season tournament MVP. He was also part of the NBA 75th anniversary team, and he is, I mean, when it is all said and done, I fully expect him to be the second greatest power forward of all time, behind Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And he's only what just turned 30.
Hmm.
He has what probably another good 6, 7, 8 years left in the league playing at a high level.
Hmm.
Our situation in Milwaukee will handle itself. But yeah, you talk about a guy who was a multiple time defensive player of the year, 2-time MVP, multiple time all-star appearances, who has a championship on his resume and got it done, arguably one of the hardest rings because he got it done by on his own, really. I mean, yeah, he had great players, but he didn't need a big three or a super team to get it done. So
Yeah.
Giannis, when it's all said and done, when he calls it quits, he's definitely gonna have a jersey retired in Milwaukee, and
Yeah.
he definitely could easily crack the top 10 if he gets another couple more hardware.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Number 17, another power forward, Dirk Nowitzki. World had Dirk at number 20, and I had him at number 15. Dirk, I mean, probably the hardest ring in NBA history.
But
Um,
probably most art, definitely.
Definitely. 14-time All Star, 12-time All NBA, Finals MVP, one-time MVP. But other than that, not too much to his name. Doesn't have any All Defensive teams. No other awards. But I mean, when you talk about longevity, 21 years for Dallas, never switched up. He even made an All Star game in his last year. Do you remember that All Star game when they gave it to Wade, the Legacy All Star stuff
Hmm, hmm.
for Wade and Dirk?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing with Kobe too, in
Yeah, yeah,
2016. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Like hardest ring of all time. This man faced 8 Hall of Fame players during that run. 9 All NBA players. He faced the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Miami Heat Big Three, who were the heavily favorites in that final series. And yeah, so I think that Dirk winning that championship catapulted him from like top 50 to top 20 because you'll never ever in NBA history had to find a superstar who had to go through that much turbulence and that much roadblock to win a championship. I mean, it
yeah,
was the hardest ring. A lot of people say, Dirk's ring is worth more than Kevin Durant's 2 rings.
yeah, yeah. Um, Next we've got this was kind of our first big discrepancy one. Um, Kevin Durant is number 16 for our total list. But Worlds had him at number 21. I had him at 13.
Mm.
So, um, you had him over a guy, or you had Julius Irving, a guy who we talked about, over him. I did not. So, what is the? I mean, before let me read. So he's a 15-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champ, and Finals MVP. He is a 1-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 11-time All NBA, 4-time scoring champ, also a part of the NBA 75th anniversary team.
Yeah, so it's really easy. The reason why I had Julius Irvin and a whole bunch of other players like Dirk, Giannis, and stuff like that
Mhm.
over Kevin Durant, because what are we basing this list off? It's accomplishments, accolades,
Mhm.
impact on team, and impact on the league. So now you look at accomplishments. Kevin Durant is one of the most well accomplished players of all times. Like you just read his stats, it's
Mhm.
right there. His list of accomplishments right there. But now when you go to winning, that's when the conversation on Kevin Durant's behalf comes a little bit murky, because the reason why I have him number 20, not a 21, is because he blew a 3-1 lead to the Golden State Warriors, then decided to join that team he had on the road to eliminate. And if you look at it in that series in 2016, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the much more talented. The Warriors were a better team, but the Thunder were a much more talented team. So that's a knock against your legacy. Then after you purposely leave the team, you go to Brooklyn. It didn't work out in Brooklyn, fine. But then towards your ending career in Brooklyn, you got swept in the first round. You didn't make the playoffs, and then you go to the Phoenix Suns. You got swept in the first round, then you got bounced in the second round, and then you didn't make the playoffs. So there's this notion of perception that ever since Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors, he can't win anything, and he's proven them right, because he hasn't even sniffed a Western Conference or Eastern Conference Finals appearance since his days with the Golden State Warriors. And that's why I have Kevin Durant lower on my list compared to your list, because your ability to win and
Mhm.
put the guys on your shoulder plays a factor. You can't just jump ship teams, go over here, go over there, go over there. No, because guess what? You are the main guy. They're going to look to you to say, hey, take us to the promised land. You got guys like Jordan did it. Kobe did it. Hell, Steph Curry, the guy that you left, did it. And Steph won a championship before you and without you. And we're going to talk about Steph Curry a little bit. And he's much more high on the list than KD is. So that's why I have KD at number 21 compared to our list, because ever since he left the winning environment, he has not won as much. The closest he got was a second round exit. You can't. You have to hold that accountable for a player as great as he is.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the winning, it's literally not something you can argue against. But you also talked about before impact on the league. Every time Kevin Durant went to one of those places, that shit impacted the league. Like every time, like obviously him joining Golden State was one of the biggest impactful moments in NBA history, of course. But like every time he went to Brooklyn, we were like, oh shit, Brooklyn might be able to do it. He went to Phoenix, they were like, oh, they might be able to do it before they got rid of Chris Paul and like DeAndre Ayton. And now where did he just go? What, not even a month ago? And how are we talking about the Houston Rockets right now? We're talking like, oh man, they might fight OKC for the 1 seed. Some people believe that, some people don't. Some people think that they'll just be, 3, 4 seed. They'll be a good playoff team, but have no real success. But like, you don't really have a choice when you talk about Durant. You have to have skepticism with it, even though sure we haven't seen it technically with him being 1A without having another 1A on his team in Stephen Curry. So that's another part where it's like it's not just like it's not, oh, just a 25 point per game score just joined another team. No, it's the best scorer in NBA history just joined this team. And sure, again, it didn't work out. So I can't really argue too much against you because of the winning stuff. But that's just another reason where it's like
Well,
why I do have him higher than like a
well,
deserving.
but hold on, let me add to this point and kind of disagree with you. Like, yes, we all know how great Kevin Durant is, but if you take a very good, very great player and you put him on a team that is primed to win, and that's their key missing piece, of course that's going to be the narrative. If you take Steph Curry and put him on the Houston Rockets, we have the same conversation, like, oh, the Rockets can win it this year. Hell, if you take his former player, Devin Booker, who just signed a 2-year, over $100 million plus deal, and you put him on the Rockets, we'll be talking about the Rockets as a championship contending team, but we're basing off prior resume, off of actual visual data that, okay, You went to Brooklyn. Obviously, other circumstances, it didn't work out. You
Mm.
asked out that situation. You went to Phoenix. You were arguably the best player, if not 1B, next to Devin Booker. It didn't work. You helped, acquiesce, put together that roster. And now you're going from the Phoenix Suns to a Houston Rockets team. And if the Rockets didn't have any other players, we'd be like, oh, it's just going to be the same situation. The reason why we see the Rockets as championship contenders because of the guys around them, because of Alperen Şengün, who's arguably one of the best power forwards in today's game, because of the guys that they were to keep, like Fran VanVleet. You talk about Ahmed Thompson, who's arguably going to be the best two-way defender in this league for years to come. They got a great coach who has shown to taking them to the promised land in Ime Udoka. So all the factors play into that. But when you just talk about you being the guy, Kevin Durant as the number one option, he can't get it done. Now, yes, he was the best player on the Golden State Warriors when they won, back-to-back titles. But if you look at the style of play, a lot of the guys, a lot of the opposing team had their attention on Steph Curry because as soon as Steph Curry touches the ball, he can pull up from 50 and he's a threat from half court, which gave KD, easier baskets. He even said that too. So
That team's
all
an
that plays into a
anomaly.
factor. Yeah.
But I'm gonna also put out the fact, like, right, okay, OKC and Golden State were right, like they were OKC was perfect because that's where he got drafted. That's where he grown up. He made the finals in 2011. Is that what year
2012.
that was?
Yeah, he made it
2012.
2012.
And then he was right a game away from making the finals before he joined Golden State. Obviously, he joined Golden State, and it worked pretty much perfectly, except for that third year where he tore his Achilles, Clay tore his ACL, whatever. But I think him going to Houston, I think this Houston team is built way better than Brooklyn and Phoenix were. Sure, Brooklyn and Phoenix had the star players where you talk about Kyrie, you talk about Devin Booker, even you had James Harden for like half a season,
Mhm.
um, whoever else.
Bradley
Right.
Beal.
There's no player on the Rockets that's even close to Kyrie and Devin Booker other than Kevin Durant. But the way that the team is built around Kevin Durant, I think this stop in Houston, we haven't seen a game of it played yet. We don't even know what the whole team is going to end like. I already like this stop better than Brooklyn and Phoenix.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see because we also like to stop in Brooklyn with him and Kyrie and when James came. And a lot
That
of people,
that see that, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like
no, you're good.
the reason Brooklyn was such a entertaining thing is because they had every damn former all-star in the league on their team that 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Like the Kyrie, Harden, Durant, Andre Drummond, DeAndre Jordan, LaMarcus Aldridge, Goran Dragic. Like they literally had like 8 former all-stars on that team at once. And that's why, right, like that team was like, oh, they could do it because they got all the personnel, even though a lot of them were not they're saying like Andre Drummond wasn't the same player. Dragic wasn't the same player. Aldridge had to retire because of his heart at the obviously they weren't the same, but I feel like that's why we were so in love with the Brooklyn Nets team. And obviously Steve Nash was the coach. So that's another former all-star that was coaching them, which they talked about a little on the Durant and LeBron, like the podcast that they do with Steve Nash, where they were like, part of why it wasn't worked is because, yeah, sure, the team was cool, but there wasn't a lot of. I don't even know how to say it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that team was built because it's like, oh man, these guys did this in the past. Kyrie won with the Cavs. These guys are other former All Stars. We're just gonna put them all in the team and say, hey, a bunch of talent. Let's see where it gets us. And that the year where Durant's toe was on the line. And they were super close to going to the finals or the next round. That was great, but honestly, again, that team that team didn't have defense, just like Phoenix last year, right? Like one of the biggest things with Phoenix is that their defense and everything like that, because they're starting Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant all at once. In the Nets, you're starting Kyrie, Harden, Durant, old Andre Drummond who can barely jump, LaMarcus Aldridge who couldn't do anything. So I just don't think that those teams were built perfectly around him. And granted, I'm not saying that's his fault or not his fault. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with him ranking, is based on prior stops and how they didn't work. But I'm just saying, I think that he also hasn't put himself in perfect situations, which that's his fault. That's 100% his fault because he wanted to leave Golden State. He wanted to leave Brooklyn. He now wants to leave Phoenix. So that's on him for sure. But I'm just saying, like, there's a, you talk about Curry, the greatest shooter ever. Durant's the greatest scorer ever. That's at least to me. So
It meant pure score ever, yeah, Fisher score. But you talk about like, they just plugged a whole bunch of superstars and all stars together and it didn't work in Brooklyn. Obviously, other factors played into that. But how come it worked perfectly with Golden State? They had 4 all-stars, and it's now one time they had 5 all-stars when they signed DeMarcus Cousins during that, 2018, 2019 finals run. Obviously, half their players got hurt. So it worked with Golden State when you had all those superstars. You had Steph, Draymond, Clay, and Katie. All those guys are going to go into the Hall of Fame. So how come it didn't work with other stuff? Because like we can't say like, yes, okay, other situations, yes, he didn't have much of control. But if it worked for this situation, and then you left that situation, you go to a new situation, and the team is acquiesced, hey, and listening to you like, hey, what do you think we should do, KD? You say, oh, get this player, get trade that for that player, and it don't work out. That falls on your shoulders.
right, but also going to Golden State, Steph Curry just came off back-to-back MVPs. Klay Thompson is in his best years of his career. Same with Draymond. Same with Durant. Like they were all in Boogie when he came over before the injury. He was top 2, top 3 center in the league. So they were all in their prime. But what I'm saying is like LaMarcus Aldridge was in his 16th or was in his 15th year in Brooklyn. Dragic was in his 13th year. Drummond was in his 9th, but so that's not that old. Blake Griffin was in his 12th year. Harden was in his 12th year. Like all these guys were not a lot like almost none of those guys should have been starting other than obviously Kyrie and Durant.
Yeah, James for a little bit. But yeah, but like, you look at the supporting cast for the 17, for the 16, 17, and 18 Warriors, it wasn't that deep either because they were paying 4 guys max dollars. So
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, but you
Brooklyn
still had
was,
Iggy, you got Livingston, you got like you still JaVale McGee was still playing, was a good player at that time, but
yeah,
so I
but
mean that team had, but I'm just saying, like there was just the Nets team was kind of thrown together where like Golden State, where you're like they had a bunch of all stars, is like Kevin Durant slid in perfectly there. I think Brooklyn, Durant was there, and then they were like, "Oh shit, we got to add all these random, guys for the vet minimum, and guys who are on their last leg, guy who literally had to retire because of a heart defect or what." Like that's what I'm just saying.
yeah,
It's
I feel you.
that Brooklyn stop. Like I'm just, like sure it was probably fun to watch, but like man, there was like I'm looking at this team, this 2022 team. You talk about straight up defenders. They had a young Bruce Brown here. They had a young Nick Claxton, but like Seth Curry not defending, Joe Harris not defending, Blake Griffin at that time not defending, um, Dragic. I don't know if I said him not defending. Like Durant and Kyrie. I mean Durant's fine defensively, I guess, but they had Cam Thomas as a rookie. Paul Millsap as well was in his 15th year. Like they had literally zero defense over there, unless you're talking about like Drummond, who wasn't like Detroit Piston Drummond.
Yeah, he was still their best defender. It's
So
great. Yeah.
but all right. Now we took a long time for that. But number
Mhm.
15 is Dwayne Wade. Worrells had Wade at number 12, and I had Wade at number 20. So another, I would
Mm.
say, bigger gap here.
The D
Um
Wade disrespect is real coming
no,
from
no,
you.
I'm not disrespecting D Wade,
Oh,
one of my favorite players of all time, which seems crazy, but like I don't know. It just like Wade, he doesn't have an MVP. He probably should have an MVP.
yeah, he should. Yeah,
In 2009, he averaged 30.
yeah.
He was third. He was third in MVP that year, but he was never top 5 in MVP other than that one year, which is
Mhm.
crazy. But he's a scoring champ, 13-time All-Star, 3-time NBA champ, Finals MVP in '06. I think another one of those really impressive rings when you look at the roster and who he was with. 3-time All Defensive. Um, but yeah, Dwayne Wade, the hands right, the third best shooting guard of all time, without a doubt.
Easily, yeah, easily,
No,
yeah. But man,
I love me some Dwayne Wade. I love some slashers
mm,
and whatnot, but I mean, I look and it's like it's hard to put him up against when like literally every single player above him has at least an MVP for my list, at least.
Okay, yeah, well, valid. That's why I said the D Wade disrespect is really on your part because, like you mentioned, he should have won MVP in '09, but they gave it to LeBron. When you averaged 30 and you were mainly the only guy on that Heat team that
Yeah,
made him relevant, you got to get MVP. The reason why I got D Wade at number 12 on my list is because he won a ring in his third year in the league, and he was the main reason
oh yeah,
why.
yeah, for
He
sure.
averaged 35 points, almost 8 rebounds, and 4 assists against the Dallas Mavericks at the time when they were also down 2-0 to the
Yeah,
Dallas Mavericks, who
yeah,
were favored to win it going into that series. And you had Shaq, who was on his last legs. I think Alonzo Mourning was not that good. You had Gary Payton, who's on his last legs, just wanted to get a championship. It was all on D Wade's shoulders, and he single-handedly took that team and took over and said, put him on the back and says, "You guys, I'm gonna take you guys to promised land." Something that Kevin Durant, we just talked about Kevin Durant last segment, something that KD could not do on his own. So that's why I got to put D Wade up there. That ring he won in his third year in '06,
hmm
impressive as hell. You don't see a lot of guys who their third year in the league carry a team to a championship.
yeah. Um, Number 14, another guy that we definitely did not watch, Oscar Robertson. I Worlds had him at 14, and I had him at 16.
Mm,
So we were pretty close there. I
okay.
mean, I would say the third best point guard of all time. I put him over a Jerry West. Um, at least my list I did, so I kind of just spoiled something, but I have him over Jerry West.
I mean, that's not very controversial because Jerry West been to 9 NBA Finals only won one time. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You do too. I forgot we already talked about Jerry West, so never mind. Um, but I mean, yeah, at first pro player to average a triple double. Um, I mean, he's got I thought I pulled this up. He has one NBA champion with the Bucks, 12-time All Star, 6-time assist champ, 11-time All NBA, Rookie of the Year, 75th team, MVP again. I don't know if I said that, but I mean, he is just the guy, right? The first player to average a triple double, and in that time, it's like, who was he passing to? Probably
yeah.
just Kareem. I don't
No,
even know
I,
if that year that he did that was with Kareem. I would assume, but
and I think it had to be because I think that when he was still on the Bucks, I believe.
it was when he was in. No, he was in Cincinnati.
Really? Oh, that makes it even more impressive then.
It does.
I thought he was with
I
with
recognize a
Kareem.
couple of these names. Don't know much about him, but he didn't have. I don't think anyone on this team was a Hall of Famer. That year that he did it, he averaged. It was his second year in the league. He averaged 31 points, 11 assists, 12 rebounds, and he almost averaged a 30-point triple double in his rookie year. He was point 0.3 assists off.
Sheesh, that's impressive. Wow. And that's why I got him top 15 in my list.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next, number 13, Nikola Jokic.
Mm.
I had Jokic at 14. Worlds had him at 15. Another guy who's in a similar boat as Giannis. Their stat or their accolades look similar, but instead of having a Defensive Player of the Year, Jokic has one more MVP than Giannis. 7-time All Star and All NBA, NBA Champion Finals MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, but hasn't gotten back there yet. Do we think? Do we think Jokic is winning another ring?
I think he has one more championship left in him. He's too great not to. And considering the offseason moves that the Denver Nuggets did, they put themselves at the top of the Western Conference to go back there again to the NBA Finals. Obviously, they got a long list of teams to go through again, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Talk about the Clippers, who got a lot better. You talk about the Timberwolves, who aren't going anywhere and stuff like that. So I think Jokic, before it's all said and done, he has a chance to win another championship. I wouldn't be surprised he retires a 2-time, definitely maybe 3-time NBA champion. But yeah, he's too great not to. Like we talked about Giannis, who Giannis is just too great to not just retire with one ring. You talk about a guy who averaged a freaking triple double last year as a center. 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. You don't find most guys who can do that. And we talked about a little bit before. If Jokic played in the 80s or 90s, they would think that this guy is like a foreign object, like a foreign alien.
Hmm.
Pass, can shoot, can dribble. It's ridiculous his skill set that he possesses at that size.
Yeah. So can I ask with all this parity and how elite the league as a whole is becoming, are we going to get to the point where like right like a lot of these publications, a lot of people value rings as the most important thing, right? That's why with the Jordan LeBron conversations you hear perfect in the finals versus oh he's been to the finals 10 times. Are we going to get to a point where say Jokic ends with two? Is Jokic's two rings going to be more impressive than like Shaq's four? And then like
Ooh.
though where it really is going to make ranking even harder because you have the point where it's like, yeah, sure, Shaq didn't play against a ton of other all NBA type centers when he got into his real prime in the 2000s, but he got four finals. He did it with, three-peat with the Lakers, but Jokic did it in a time where everyone was winning. Everyone was winning, and he got two of them while most people either have one or none.
Yeah. That's a very good question. That's a hard question to ask. If Jokic wins another ring between this time period with, like you said, the parity and everybody's good, I wouldn't say it's more important than Shaq's rings,
Mhm.
but it definitely holds more weight because LeBron said this best: win this conversation of ring culture. And if anybody has a championship and they average 20 points a game, that means they're automatically good. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, you look at Robert Horry, he has 7 championships, but
Yeah.
that does that make him better than Jordan? No, it doesn't. He was just lucky enough to be on a good team, to be a part of a good organization. He was a decent player, but he's not gonna be a Hall of Fame player. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that's where the ring coach comes into play. Like, you just look at a player's accomplishments, like, and say like, oh, he has a championship, so he must be better than a guy who doesn't have a championship. Like, Robert Horry is not better than an Allen Iverson, than a Charles Barkley, than a Patrick Ewing, because you put their stats and their numbers and their impact on the team solo against Robert Horry. It's miles apart. So I think that we got like kind of have to diverge away from that, but I wouldn't say it's as most important because, like you did mention, when you look at Shaq and his numbers, and even though it was a different time period, his numbers would still be dominant in today's
Oh yeah.
NBA.
I wasn't meaning to pick on Shaq. I just meant
Yeah,
in just
yeah, I know
like
what
a
you
guy
mean.
that's got, a guy that's near the top four, like a guy that would rank above Jokic right now, who has maybe two or three more rings. Do we get to the point where sure Jokic retires with three MVPs and two rings and say, oh, that's maybe better than a guy who ended with two MVPs and five rings.
Yeah, that
So
could play to also recency bias too, because
right.
as things get newer, the old generation starts to phase out a lot of people's minds. You got a lot of young basketball fans growing up who are not going to be able to watch the late '90s, early 2000s. Yeah, that could be some recency bias, but
Mhm.
that's why YouTube exists, and you got to watch those highlights and plays and actual full games to understand the impact of these great players. So I get what you're saying. Hopefully it doesn't come to that,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's a good question. I don't think Jokic's rings would like surpass, like, for example, Shaq's 4 rings, or the fact that Jokic has 3 league MVPs and Shaq only has like 1 or 2. So I don't think so. I mean, it might come to that because of
Mhm.
recency bias, but us true NBA fans who love the game, who know the history, who know much more history of the game, I don't think that we would divulge into that conversation.
Okay. All right. Number 12, we have Hakeem Olajuwon. Um, Worlds had Hakeem at 16. I had him at 11. Hakeem is another one of those players around like the David Robinson conversation where it's like there's so many great centers, but these guys not aren't really in top 10 for most people because how stacked their position is. Obviously, they're top 10 for their position, but when you talk about all time, it's hard to get him in there, even though Hakeem might be the greatest interior defender of all time. Um, 12-time All Star, two-time rebounding champ, two-time NBA champ, 12-time All NBA, nine-time All Defensive, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, regular season MVP. Um, Keem is really one of those guys. And I mean, he was a great scorer too for the time period. He had some seasons where he averaged 27, 26. Again, rebounding and blocking. We know that that's who Hakeem is, but yeah, he is number 12 for our total list.
Yeah, which I think seems about right too, because
Yeah,
you also look at it. He was called Hakeem the Dream. He wasn't called Hakeem the Dream for no reason. Like
right.
his post work, his footwork down there was unbelievable.
Hmm.
And he schooled Shaq when even though Shaq was a baby in that finals. So and you look at him again, like 20, almost 22, 11 rebounds for his career. He's a one-time league MVP, two-time finals MVP was the reason for that, and just a defensive wizard at that position. So yeah, I think you can't have like a top 5 center conversation if you don't have Akeem Olajuwon in it. He was just that good at that time.
Yeah. All right. Number 11. Who didn't make the top 10?
Mm,
Wilt Chamberlain. Worlds had him at 11. I had him at 12. Wilt, we talked about this when we were reacting to the Bleacher Report article, but these players from like the 60s and stuff, so hard to rank because some of the awards were not there. Like there was not really a like Wilt was only a two-time all defensive player because it got added in his last 2 years of his career. He would have been probably at least a 10-time all defensive player. But I mean, he's a 13-time All Star, 7-time scoring champ, an assist champion, 11-time rebounding champion, 2-time NBA champ, 10-time All NBA, 4-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 1-time Finals MVP. But yeah, I mean, only two NBA championships, and obviously, if you are, if you, some people don't believe it, but the 100-point game, of course. But yeah, it's just hard to rank for me because again, not all the accolades are there. Finals MVPs and um all defensive teams. They blocks like Will. They didn't even record blocks for Will.
yeah.
Will would probably be a top 5 on the block list of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, you mentioned different times.
Hmm.
There's and the reason why I don't have him a top 10 because like I said, like we weren't there growing up watching, 60s, 70s basketball. There's video footage of everything. There's video footage of LeBron James when he was in high school. There's video footage of, the 1990s and 1980s basketball hell when he was on tape delay. There was no footage on the entire internet where you can find everything at the touch of your button of Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. So I'm a little bit suspect, like you mentioned before, that it didn't happen. So I think that's right now is like, Bigfoot existed. I don't think it's true. And that's why he's outside my top 10. Now, granted, like they didn't track a lot of stats, like you said, but his key stats for his career, he averaged 30 points and almost 23 rebounds a game.
Yeah,
That is utterly ridiculous to average that many rebounds in a season. Unbelievable. And so, that's when they started, tracking rebounds. And for that guy to just be gobbling up the glass like that just shows you that he was a rebounding monster. So that's the only reason why, I don't have Wilt Chamberlain that high. Cause again, we didn't watch him growing up. We weren't obviously alive at that time. There's, no proof whatsoever him scoring 100 points in a game. Maybe it might be out there, but I haven't seen it. So,
yeah,
you
me either.
know, yeah. So we neither of us have seen it, but yeah, when you got a guy who's a league MVP, final MVP, 4-time MVP, it's a champion, it's a final MVP, 10-time All-Star, just two all defense and rookie of the year, those accolades scream top 10 or top 15 in my opinion.
Yeah, when I was younger and first got in the NBA, like I believed it, but then you think about it, and it's like, again, there's no proof of it. There's no like nothing. There's not a photo. I mean, you got the photo of him holding up, but I could hold up a 100-point card.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you notice too, you can find like now you're starting to see colored images, colored
of
photos of
those,
Wilt Chamberlain.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
like, if they have colored photos of Wilt Chamberlain and with his tall self, why is there no footage
of that
of this
one
100-point game that happened? Like you can see footage basketball games from the 50s, hell, possibly the 40s. Where is this 100-point game that happened?
I've heard a lot of theories and stories from photographers that were at the game and whoever, if there are fans left that were at the, like, I've heard so many different conflicting things about it, but I mean, I don't really care, like, because like I'll give it to him. He's had the 100-point game because what is it really going to change? But
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people go off the modern record anyway, which is obviously Kobe's 81. Because someone's got to pass Kobe before we can start looking at the Wilt 100-point.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, um, Stephen Curry. Me and Worlds both had him at number 10.
Yep.
I mean, greatest shooter ever, one of the best offensive weapons, one of the most like gravitational players. Like you have to focus on him at all points. One of the best point guards of all time. Um, yeah, I mean, we had him at the same spot.
Yeah, I agree. And I think him winning that championship without KD and most importantly, that finals MVP, his first finals MVP in 2022, signified him as the top 10 greatest player of all time. Because that was the only thing missing from his resume
Yeah.
was the finals MVP. Like he won unanimous league MVP before, he
Mhm.
multiple, time champion. He was missing that finals MVP. And the fact that when he won it, what was the first thing he said? What are they gonna say now? Because he knew, all right, Steph Curry, you just validate yourself as the top 10 greatest player of all time.
Yeah. Number 9, Bill Russell. Me and Worlds both had him at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those players that, like, sure, if all the awards were there, then maybe he's higher, maybe, whatever. Obviously 11-time champ, 5-time MVP, 4-time rebound champ, 12-time All-Star. Obviously one of the most one of the greatest figures for basketball and sports, retired league wide that they did a few years ago. But yeah, number 9.
Yep, agree. Shout out RIP to the great Bill Russell, and that's why they renamed the Finals MVP trophy after him.
Yeah.
Most championship rings in NBA history.
Yep. Sucks he could never get one because it wasn't a thing. But
Yep.
number 8, Larry Bird. Me and Worlds both had him at number 8. Another Celtic guy. 3-time NBA champ. 12-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA. 2-time Finals MVP. All rookie. I believe he did. I believe he was a winner in college too. But yeah, the second greatest small forward of all time.
Yeah, I also agree as well. Larry Bird, man, arguably the coldest white black dude NBA has ever seen. I mean, that brother. No, Larry Bird would literally. You've seen stories of players on like NBA TV of players who faced him in the playoffs, regular season, and finals. That Larry Bird would tell you the play, and he would
Yeah.
tell you, "I'm gonna knock down this 3-point shot in front of you. There's nothing you could do about it," and he would do it anyway. The
Yeah.
gall and the disrespect that you have to have for your opposing play for the opposing team to do such a thing is asinine. But yeah, Larry Bird, man, numbers speak for himself. Accomplishments speak for himself. I think he will always remain top 10 because he was just that good. Almost 25 points a game, 10 rebounds, 6.3 assists. You talk about mentioned 3-time NBA champion, 3-time league MVP, Finals MVP, Rookie of the Year, 10-time All Star. I mean, the list just goes on, and arguably one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time. Obviously, Steph is the GOAT, but
Right.
at that time, there's like, oh, this you left Larry Bird open. The shot was going in. There's nothing you could do about it, even when you were defending him.
Yeah. Won 3-point contests and warm-ups and stuff. Never even took them off. But yeah, another one of those great trash talkers and whatnot of the league. Number 7, Shaquille O'Neal. Me and Worlds both had him at number 7.
The Diesel.
15-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 4-time NBA champion, 14-time All-NBA, Rookie of the Year, All-Star MVPs, All Defensive Team 3 times, 3 Finals MVPs, and a 1-time MVP.
If Shaq took care of himself more and dedicated himself to the gym, because Kobe said it before he passed, that he would have had 10 rings and Shaq would probably could be considered the greatest player of all time. Because you got to think about it. Shaq's offensive game was very limited. He couldn't shoot for shit outside of 10 feet. And the fact that he averaged the numbers he did, over 25 points a game, just pretty much dunking and lobbying and just putting people in body bags, just goes to show you that how great he was. He was the most dominant player of all time. If he had an ounce of offensive game, cut Jokic feet apart and just give that little sprinkle to Shaq, I think he would arguably be a top 5, if not number 1 greatest player of all time, because you could not stop him in the post. And if he had a little hook shot, which he did, or if he had like a little mini jump shot and could knock down his free throws, good Lord, I think he'd be number 1 every statistical category except for assist.
Yeah, I mean, he brought that Orlando team to the final. Was that his second year or something like that?
Yes, second,
Was Penny on that team?
Yeah, it was him, Penny, D. Scott. I think that's when they got Horace Grant too. Horace Grant came, I think, like the year after. But yeah, no, Horace Grant was on that team for the championship run, for the finals run. Excuse me.
Penny Hardaway. Oh yeah, yep, Anthony Hardaway right there. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Without saying it, the next person that you have ranked. Did you have a hard time picking between these two about who should be 6 and 7 between Shaq and the next guy?
I had a little bit, and the
Okay.
difference was what I mentioned was because again, I look at everything like impact on winning, accomplishments, impact on team success, impact on leading, how the game is played right now. And you look, and the guy that we named, I think he took a little bit his career more seriously. Also, you never heard of him having weight issues or cardio issues or in shape issues, and so he has one more than Shaq.
Right. He was also not. He wasn't. Maybe he didn't have the top numbers, but he was better. Like
Like overall,
overall, like he was more consistent. Right.
yes,
Those last like three stops of Shaq's career: Cleveland, Phoenix,
in
Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Um, he was ring chasing. He wanted to tie up Kobe again, right? Like everything
Mhm.
like that. But yeah, so that next person we are talking about is Tim Duncan. Again, this was one of the hardest things for me to pick between, because like again, similar-ish careers: 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 5-time champ, 15-time All-Defense is one of the things that really set it apart for me.
Mhm.
Two MVPs, three Finals MVPs. Tim Duncan, like he's got like 3,000 career blocks, and I've seen a stat where it was like he's I think fifth on blocks all time, but he's only goaltended like less than 20 times in his career.
That's crazy.
And for frame of reference, Wemby did it like 11 times in his first season. So it's that's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim Duncan's number 6.
Yeah, for not being such a big muscle heavy guy, does just have muscles popping out of everywhere. Tim Duncan was a beast defensive, like you just mentioned. I think he's like number 2 in defensive win shares or something like that.
Yeah,
And
something.
yeah, and I think that his 15 all defensive teams are like a record. So I don't think anybody will come close to that. But yeah, Tim, Duncan, 5-time champion. You mentioned 2-time league MVP, 3-time finals league MVP. He stayed with the franchise his entire career. He didn't ring chase. Obviously, it helps when you have a Hall of Fame coach and other Hall of Fame players, but you all need some type of help. But yeah, Tim Duncan was the reason why they called him the big fundamental, because he
Jeez.
can score in the most easiest and simple ways, but he had good footwork, good spacing, and a good awareness of an opposing defender. So if he knew you're going to shift left, he'll shift you right. He had you on the pump fake, he had you in the post move, he had you on the hook shot. He had everything down below, and his game just stayed consistent throughout his entire career.
Yeah, I believe though, Tim Duncan did almost leave one free agency. I think he almost went to like Orlando or something, but obviously he
Really?
ended up
Yeah.
staying.
Yeah.
Um,
That always happens with like a player who's been with the team their entire life. Oh, there's some friction. There's some disagreements between them and the front office, and then it always works out.
mhm.
Happened, with Kobe. It happened with Dirk Nowitzki at one point, and it happened with Duncan. So
Yeah, and that was another one that me and Wells we both had him at 6. So 6 through 10, we had everyone at the same spot as each other.
mhm.
But this is where it gets a little shaky. So fifth on our list, combined, is Magic Johnson.
Mhm.
I had Magic at 5. Wells had him at 4. Greatest point guard of all time in a lot of people's eyes. 12-time All-Star, 2-time Steal champ, 10-time All-NBA, 3 Finals MVPs, 4 assist champions, 5 NBA champions, 3 league MVPs, and obviously the playing center in his rookie year without
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to get his first one is obviously one of the biggest, like positional versatilities we've ever seen. One of the few players that can play literally every position with ease.
Yeah. Reason why I had Magic ahead in number 4 is because when him winning his championship in his first year in the league, which is fucking ridiculous, and he was the main reason to do it without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar able to play all 5 positions. You cannot replicate that type of greatness. That is something that is, I don't even think 2K will allow you to do that in my career mode. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, and let's not forget, he's just one of 3 players to ever win 3 league MVPs and 3 finals MVP. You want to know who the other 2 are? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who we consider them to be the GOAT, as we continue to get further in this list. So yeah, Magic, man, that right there was given the nod number 4 for me because of that. Him winning 5 championships and him being the reason that the Lakers won that year, his first year in the league, and he just came right off the bat and dominated. Usually, when guys get drafted that high, there's between like a little waiting period for them to develop. Okay, let's get them acclimated to the NBA game, NBA speed, and then they take that that jump, that burst into superstardom. Usually, year 3, year 4. Magic came right away and was balling. It helps when you probably stay 4 years in college. Also, I think he is an NCAA champion too. So he's one of few players to win a college championship and an NBA championship, and he did in the span of 2-3 seasons. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Just
Yeah. Him and
overall.
Larry had a few college seasons versus each other. All right, number 4, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Worlds had him at 5. I had him at 3.
Yeah.
Kareem, I mean, the best center in NBA history, without a doubt, hands down. Before Jordan, before LeBron, this guy was the GOAT. 19-time All-Star, 1-time rebounding champ, 6 NBA championships, 11-time All-Defense, Rookie of the Year, 6 MVPs, 2 scoring champions, 4 block champs, 15-time All-NBA, 2-time Finals MVP. I mean, just the winner. I mean, just a winner. Tied for the most MVPs, I believe, in a player. I think it's him and Jordan are both tied at 6. But again, before Jordan, before LeBron, this man was the GOAT.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. One of the greatest winners in NBA history. He's also one of the few players to win a college championship and an NBA championship. And he won it at 2 different stops. He won one with the Milwaukee Bucks, and obviously with the Lakers as well too. 2-time Finals MVP, 15-time All NBA, 19-time All Star, Rookie of the Year, 2 scoring titles. He had arguably the most unstoppable move in NBA history at the time, which was the sky hook. You could be 10 feet tall, there was no one hell, you was blocking it. It's just unbelievable. I think he has like one of the top field goals in NBA history, like 15,800 plus. So yeah, it's just we'll never see a guy like that. Kareem, greatest of all time. Arguably, some people have him the greatest Laker of all time too. There's been a debate between him, Kobe, and Magic. But yeah, no matter what list that you have at this current time point right now, Kareem has got to be top 5 because his accomplishments and his accolades, his numbers, his impact on the team, impact on the league success, and everything like that has to do with him.
Yeah. All right. Top 3.
Here we go.
Number 3, Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Worlds had him at 3. I had him at 4. Kobe, part of the reason that we made this list based off the Bleacher Report stuff, but 18-time All-Star, 5-time NBA champ, all rookie team, 2 Finals MVPs, 2 scoring champs, 15-time All NBA, 12-time All Defense, 1-time MVP, and 2018 Oscar winner.
Yep. A lot of people that can't say they won an Oscar post playing career.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. I think I don't respect anybody's list if they don't have Kobe Bryant top 5 or top 10. And obviously, we talked about in our last video, the Kobe disrespect lately has just been egregious. Has been asinine. Has been outrageous. They would never ever do that if he was still alive. So God rest his soul. But yeah, you talk about a guy who's a 5-time NBA champion, league MVP, 2 times Finals MVP, 18-time All Star. At one point, had the most. Set the record for most All-Star appearances before LeBron James broke that. 2-time scoring champion. At one point, he was the ambassador of the NBA. At one point in time, for a couple of years, he was seen as the best player in NBA history. He was the most marketable player in NBA history. You couldn't watch a NBA game without seeing the Kobe Bryant ad. So for people to have Kobe outside, the top 10, I've seen as low as 15, 20, is arguably disrespectful. And their reasoning for having him that low is that, his first 3 rings were with Shaquille O'Neal. But if you look, and this is how I know people do not fucking know basketball or don't watch the basketball or don't understand the game of basketball. If you look at Kobe Bryant's stats during his first 3 championships with Shaquille O'Neal, you would be having a serious debate. Who was the best player in that team? Because Kobe Bryant was not playing second fiddle to Shaquille O'Neal. You're looking at his final stats. Let's look at his final stats in what 2001. Averaged almost 25 points a game, 8 rebounds, and almost 6 assists. Does that sound like a player who just was carried by Shaquille O'Neal? I don't think so. You look at his final stats in 2002. He averaged almost 27 points, 26.8 to be exact, 5.8 rebounds, and 5 assists. Does that sound like a player who's carried by Shaquille O'Neal? I don't fucking think so. You look at his final stats in 2003. I think he averaged right around like 25 points. Same thing, 5.4 assists and around like 5.4 rebounds and 5 assists. So those numbers does not sound like a guy who was carried to 3 rings by Shaquille O'Neal. And there were times when Shaq got into foul trouble, couldn't play, and guess who came to save the day? It was Kobe freaking Bryant. We talk about against, 01 in 01 finals, 31 points. The next game, 32 points. And then you look at again the closing game against the Philadelphia 76ers, 26 and 12. Does that sound like a guy who was carried? Let's look at next year when they won as part of a three-peat. Last 2 games, he had 36 and 24. Does that sound like a guy who was carried? Okay, let's look at their last championship that they won. Excuse me, the last championship they won, my bad. That was 36 and 25. But this guy was not carried by anybody. So the Kobe disrespect needs to stop. I'm not here for it. Keith is not here for it. All right. If Shaq averages like 1.01 points less, then arguably you would have a series of conversations. Kobe would probably have 2 out of those 3 Finals MVPs. But that's for here for another day. But yeah, the Kobe disrespect just really pissed me off. People saying, "Oh, well, Shaquille O'Neal carried him, bro." Even when Shaq was still there, he was balling. And when Shaq got in foul trouble, they leaned on Kobe. He delivered. After Shaq left, he won 2 more championships. And why was Shaq trying so hard, as we mentioned earlier in this video, ring chasing to get another ring? Because he wanted to tie Kobe, because he was pissed off that Kobe had 1 more championship than him. So I don't want to hear Kobe outside number 10 or 11 on anybody's list. I don't respect it at all.
Yep. Yep. All right. And then number 2, and who will be number 1? We have a tie. Michael Jordan and LeBron are tied for number 1 for our list. Werls had LeBron number 1, Jordan number 2. I have Jordan number 1 and LeBron number 2.
Ooh, here we go.
Have you heard my explanation of the GOAT, how I look at the GOAT conversation between these two?
I have not, but go ahead and tell me. I'm interested and intrigued to hear.
How I look at this, and some people might not understand this, but when I think of the greatest NBA player of all time, I think of Michael Jordan. Because the winning, the MVPs, the whatever, perfect, the greatness in general. If you want to talk about shoes or anything like that, sure. But then if you say the best NBA player of all time, that's something different to me. That I think is LeBron. I think LeBron is the closest we have ever seen to a perfect NBA player. I think LeBron James can do everything, and I think if you are telling me who do I want to start, if I could pick the best season, if I could pick LeBron James or if I could pick Michael Jordan, who am I starting a team with? I'm picking LeBron. But I do think Michael Jordan is the greatest in general. But I think if you talk about best basketball player, I put it as LeBron. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is how I look at it.
Okay. I see your reasoning for it. The reason why I have LeBron number 1 as the greatest player of all time, and again, I mentioned this. What are the accolades we look for in terms of greatest player? Accolades, accomplishments. Obviously, you have to have the resume, your impact on your team's success, and the impact on the league and how the NBA is played. Reason why Steph Curry is in the top 10, because why? Steph Curry changed the way the league is playing right now. Everybody wants to jack up shooting threes, thinking that they Steph Curry put them from half court. Now you have centers who will have to come into the league having some sort of shot making ability. You have to shoot the three. It's a pace and space. So he's changed the way the NBA is played. When you look at LeBron James, his impact on team success is second to none. And the reason why I say this is because you look at this is something that he has over a lot of things. Every organization he has played for, he's brought them a title. He did it with the Lakers, he's done it with the Cavs, and he's done it with the Miami Heat. You can't say the same thing for Michael Jordan. Now, yes, Jordan, he was, last legs on Washington, but LeBron James just turned 40. He delivered a championship to the Los Angeles Lakers at 35 years old. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. And like I said, again, impact on team. What is your impact on your team success? Because I remember when Michael Jordan retired first time around, The Chicago Bulls were still competitive. They had a 55-22 record, just 2 wins fewer than the previous season with Michael Jordan. And guess what? They were also a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals and made the Eastern Conference semifinals. You look at LeBron James, the minute he left the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were obscurity. They were, when he was on the team, this first go around, they were 61-21. The minute he left the team to go to Miami Heat, they were 19-63, and they had a number 1 pick in the lottery. They were picking in the lottery after LeBron James left. When LeBron left again, they had the same record, atrocious record, 19-63, and they didn't start having a winning record until the 2021-2022 season. So when I look at all that, I'm like, yo, when he leaves the team is in disarray. When Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls first time around, they were still competitive. You had Scottie Pippen led the team in points, rebounds, and I believe assists, all important categories. When LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was like, hey, who's going to go fill in? It wasn't Kyrie. It took a while for Kyrie to become that man, year 3, year 4 for him to really start becoming the Kyrie Irving that we know now. So that's, to me, what was the difference in making LeBron James a GOAT category. Like, I get it. He's perfect in the NBA Finals, 6 of 6, 3 different three-peats. But when you have a guy who has been to the NBA Finals 10 different times, that is a hard thing to do. And let's look at it. His first go around in NBA Finals, who did he have to play with them? LeBron in year 4 led the team to the NBA Finals, and the second best player was the Jonas Ilgauskas. He had nobody else on that team that was scoring and averaging over 15 points a game. And he faced up against multiple future Hall of Famers. And in that 2007 championship, he faced up against 4 future Hall of Famers. All of them are in the Hall of Fame right now as we speak, along with the Hall of Fame coach. So when you do that year 4, and then you continue to be either in the Eastern Conference Finals and an NBA Finals, and where there was a period of time when the Eastern Conference had to go through Cleveland, you had to see that man in 23 or 6 when he's down playing for the Miami Heat. That's when you know, oh yeah, no, this person is somebody to be reckoned with. So that's, to me, why I had LeBron James number 1 ahead of Jordan.
Yeah, I've never understood, even though I do think Jordan is the GOAT, I've never understood why the 6-0 versus 4-6 is such a, like, there's such a discrepancy. Like, sure, it's perfect. You went 6 for 6 in the finals, but we act like Jordan only played 6 years.
Yes.
Why? Since when is coming in second place better than not making it at all? Why is those 6 great? Like, sure, 6 losses in the NBA Finals is rough. There's players that have lost more. We just talked about Jerry West, who lost 8 or 9 times. But, LeBron made 9 straight finals. And again, 4-6. That means 6 times he was on the, he was second place. Jordan had 9 other seasons, 9, 10 other seasons where he didn't even make the finals. Again, Jordan is who I picked, but I'm just saying, like, why is second place such a bad thing?
Yeah, but you see, at least you're a logical fan. When you have these conversations with these Jordan heads, like you mentioned, they always say, well, 6 of 6, like, he only played 6 years. Did people forget that it took Michael Jordan 9 years to win his first title? Did people forget that Michael Jordan was constantly getting his ass whipped by the bad boy Pistons? Did people forget that Michael Jordan didn't even get out the first round until, I believe it was 88? He got eliminated 85, 86, and 87. He didn't get out the first round until 1988. So all those first 4 years, he was going home. We talk about him getting his ass whipped by the bad boy Pistons. He lost to them in 89, and 88, 89, and 90.
Yeah, and
he couldn't go through that team.
That can also be used for the Pippen thing. He didn't win until Pippen got there.
Yes.
And then once that whole, once the last dance stuff happened in 98, he didn't win again. Granted, he wasn't, 30 point per game Michael Jordan, but like, again, I don't really ever understand why people act like, if you got LeBron, why do you have to shit on what Michael Jordan did? Talk about what LeBron did, why you think he's the GOAT. If you need Michael Jordan, don't talk shit on LeBron. Like, it's not like LeBron's up here, Jordan's down here. It's this. It's literally, it's this, because it's so, that's why it's one of the biggest, most talked about conversations. That's why they talk about it on ESPN every week. That's why, like it's such a conversation to where if we had, and it depends. Some people say it depends on the era you grew up watching. I just turned 20 2 days ago. I ain't watch Michael Jordan. I've been an NBA fan since 2017. That's probably less than most of the people watching this video.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't seen half of LeBron's career. Like I don't think it's a thing of when you grew up. For sure, it can be, but I never understand it. People act like it's like the biggest gap in the world when it's like if you compare, like I'm gonna bring this up real quick on Basketball Reference. If you just compare what they did, right, and this is why I say what I say, right? It's kind of hard to see. See if I can.
Yeah, you can maximize zoom in a
I
bit.
don't know how to zoom in,
Do
but
you have
like
a are you oh if there
that
we
better.
go. Yeah.
Okay. So like right, like overall stats, whatever. Obviously, they never played against each other. Um, whatever. This is why I say LeBron is the best NBA, best basketball player. But then you go down here, and the greatness from Michael Jordan shows, right? Like first team All NBA and All NBA in general, LeBron's got him beat. But everything else, championships got him beat. All defense got him beat. MVP got him beat. DPOY got him beat, even though DPOY should be tied.
Yes.
Finals MVP, got him beat. All star, obviously, LeBron's got. But like those let's not act like these careers are uh, horrible careers in any way. Like they're two of the best careers in NBA history. So that's what I wanted to show. I'm just saying it's like it's not like it's just not this big gap that people make it seem like when they talk and they be so disrespectful towards the player that they're not on their side with.
And you know what's funny, and I'm glad you mentioned it too. Like if somebody passes you up in damn near every statistical category, does that not make them better than you? Because when LeBron passed Kobe up in most points scored all the time in the NBA list, people put him above Kobe. When
Mhm.
LeBron won that ring after Kobe died, people put him above Kobe. So when you got LeBron, who statistically has passed Michael Jordan up in every statistical category, points, rebounds, assists, block shots, games played, games with 30 points, with 30 more points in a game, field goal percentage, playoff games, everything that you could think of. He's passed them up. And he's the only player right now who's going to have well over 40,000 plus points when it's all said and done. Probably 45,000 points when it's all said and done. How can you not even be serious about putting him, the greatest player, that number one position, as the greatest player of all time? At that point, that's just hate. Like I don't get where you got, like, you have these talking heads who I don't know how they have jobs as as NBA commentators, but Stephen A. Smith, like you mentioned, ESPN talks about it. It's all over First Take, and they're gonna be talking about a lot more because when the NBA all season, when they come back, Stephen A. Hey, who's the GOAT? Who's that? That's all they talk about because it drives ratings. But with LeBron, and Rich Paul said this too. He said the moment LeBron James retired, you have all these talk shows, these debate shows. They're gonna lose a lot of rings because now they can't just shit on LeBron anymore. They can't no longer have the LeBron and MJ debate. They can't have that debate with the active player. But when you have a player who has passed up a player in every statistical category, important category known to man, and is still playing going into year 22 at an extremely high level, didn't have to take a break, didn't have to come back again, didn't have to, go to a team on his last legs just to prove that he was still somewhat decent. At what point are the Jordan heads going to give LeBron James his credit? He, like, if he has surpassed MJ in a whole bunch of categories and has had a longer, more consistent, better career than the GOAT, doesn't that make you the GOAT?
And right, like I said, Jordan, like career wise, is a part that I put him as the GOAT. LeBron is at 40,000 points. He's at 50,000 career points. He's
Yep.
at the most All NBA and All Star awards, whatever. He's the all time leading scorer. He's pretty much on every, leader, probably top 10 in every leaderboard between steals, assist, like everything like that. It's still probably the second best career. Like, it's in some people's eyes, it might be the best career. Some people might agree with what I say about Jordan. Some people might agree with what you say about LeBron. And guess what? There's going to be people that don't agree with either of us. They still gonna pick Kobe. They still gonna pick Kareem. They're gonna pick someone else. They're gonna pick Stephen Curry. It's a list. You can't make everyone happy, but
Yep.
hell, you probably can't even make 20% of people happy. But I think we did a really good job though.
I think so too. And we had reasons why for our list to win in depth. But yeah, listen, it's gonna leave somebody off, and as new players continue to come to the NBA and as current players continue to add to their resume, to their, locker of accomplishments, some players are gonna have to be moved down because, like, like players like Charles Barkley, or you got guys who retire like Allen Iverson, they can't add anymore to their resume,
Nope.
and they don't have championships, so they're unfortunately going to be moved down further the list as new players and current players continue to add hardware to this list. Like, for example, if Shea wins another league MVP and another NBA Finals and another championship, we might have to put him over AI.
Yeah, I can't believe he wasn't on the top 100, but
Yeah,
like Luca, I guarantee you ask a lot of people, and it might be a recency thing. A lot of people are taking Shea over Luca right now.
yeah.
But that might be literally recency bias because Luca was hurt. OKC are on an all-time high right now. But yeah, I'm surprised they got guys like Jimmy Butler, Tatum, Luca, Embiid, like guys on there. But you don't got the guy who won scoring title, MVP, and Finals MVP all in the same year.
Yeah.
So, but I think before we go that those are some players that. What are some current players do you think that might be into this top 25 by the time their career's done? I think you talk about like Shea, right? Shea could get there. There's really 3 or 4 guys that, right, like Shea and Luca, I think are like the 2 first ones that would come up. I'm sure based off potential, people will say Wemby. Sleeper, maybe Tatum, depending on if the Celtics bounce back once he's back. I don't know, because I honestly don't think we're ever going to see a healthy Joel Embiid again.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if guys like Anthony Edwards will get there. I don't know if guys like I don't know if a guy like Kawhi. I don't really know if we're going to see a healthy Kawhi again. And honestly, other than that, I mean, there's not a lot of the top guys right now that it's like, a few of those guys made the list, and Tatum and Luca, but do you have anyone else though?
If we're talking about maybe top 25 when it's all said and done, yeah, obviously you mentioned Luca. We still got a long ways to go. Obviously, Shea, if he continues to add. Tatum mentioned how he comes back from that Achilles and how the Celtics are ready to bounce back. Maybe a player that got drafted not too long ago. I mean, you look at I don't really know. Like, I'm just trying to think of names off the bat, but it doesn't. I don't know, right, per se. Like, yes, Wemby has a lot of potential because he's marketed as the next face of the league. Maybe a guy like Anthony Edwards, Edman could be there. I wouldn't be surprised. He's going to continue to add to his resume. But in terms of like young players right now, those are the players right off the bat that I can think of. Yeah. I mean, Giannis, we already said he's in the top 20 category, top 25 category. But yeah, I don't really think of any players right now that can be that.
All right.
So yeah. All right, that is it, guys, for another episode of Hoops All In. Thank you again for tuning in. Hopefully you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to the channel. Subscribe to our personal YouTube channels at Keith HAI and Werls TV. Follow us on our social media platforms at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And like I said again, we're here for another episode of Hoops All In. Listen to the audio version of the podcast for those who like to listen to audio stuff. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or wherever you stream your weekly or daily podcast. We're on there. Once again, for Hoops All In, Werls Francois, Keith Basin signing off. We'll be back here next time for another episode of Hoops All In. Catch you guys later.